Mexico isn't flat, it's fractured. Mountain walls, two massive oceans, deserts, canyons, jungle corridors, all colliding at once. On a map, it looks unified. But it's not. It's divided by terrain. The Sierra Madre Mountains don't just sit there. They split the country into natural strongholds. Elevation creates isolation. Isolation creates autonomy. And in certain regions, that rugged landscape makes sustained control incredibly difficult. Mountains isolate. Deserts expose. Jungles conceal. And when geography does that, power gets complicated. This isn't just a story about crime. It's a story about geography, about how land itself raises the cost of enforcement to extreme levels. So where is this battlefield of terrain? Mexico lies between the United States to the north and Central America to the south. More than 9,000 kilometers of coastline, Pacific Ocean, Gulf of Mexico, Caribbean Sea. That's not just access, that's exposure. On paper, it looks like a geographic advantage. In reality, it creates pressure from every direction. But this coastline isn't just long, it's alive. Off the Pacific coast, humpback whales migrate thousands of miles to breed in warm Mexican waters. Great white sharks patrol near Guadalupe Island. Massive schools of tuna surge through nutrient-rich currents. This isn't empty ocean, it's motion. In the Gulf of Mexico, coral reefs explode with life. Sea turtles, manta rays, hundreds of fish species. And on the Caribbean side, part of the Mesoamerican Barrier Reef, the second largest reef system on Earth. That kind of biodiversity doesn't just shape ecosystems, it shapes economies. Fishing communities depend on it. Oil platforms in the Gulf extract billions in energy resources. Major ports like Veracruz and Manzanillo connect Mexico to global trade routes across the Pacific and Atlantic. And then there's tourism. Resorts stretch along the Riviera Maya. Cruise ships dock in Cozumel. Millions arrive every year. Cancun, Cabo San Lucas, Puerto Vallarta. Warm water, white sand, predictable sunshine. For many around the world, Mexico represents escape. But here's where geography flips the script. A coastline this long is nearly impossible to fully monitor. Remote beaches, isolated coves, maritime corridors stretching for thousands of kilometers. The system is built for velocity, and velocity creates gaps. Smuggling routes move through areas where surveillance thins out. Cartel networks have historically leveraged maritime access. Hurricanes strike both the Pacific and Gulf coasts. Destruction, disruption, economic shockwaves. The same ocean that fuels the economy also introduces risk. And when you combine value, movement, and global attention along thousands of kilometers of shoreline, safety is never just a local issue. Cutting through Mexico are the Sierra Madre Occidental and Sierra Madre Oriental. Mountain systems rising above 3,000 meters, dividing valleys, splitting plateaus, creating natural corridors and barriers. This is not one continuous landscape. It's a patchwork of barriers. In mountainous regions like Sinaloa, Durango, and Chihuahua, opium poppy cultivation has historically taken root. Why the mountains? Elevation reduces visibility. Narrow roads limit large-scale intervention. Small valleys conceal activity. Secrecy thrives in isolation. Synthetic production shifts into remote zones. Chemical precursors enter through Pacific ports. Labs move inland, hidden by terrain. Mountains store. Coastlines receive. Borders transmit. Now the intensity rises. But here's where terrain becomes tactical risk. In rugged terrain, operations don't fail because of bad planning. They fail because the land compresses movement into funnels. May 1st, 2015. Mexican forces launched an operation in the mountains near Villa Purificación. A military helicopter was shot down with a rocket-propelled grenade. Personnel killed. The target escaped. The same day, coordinated road blockades spread across western Mexico. Vehicles burned, highways shut down, cities disrupted. A mountain operation triggered statewide retaliation. But we're not done. July 2022. Mexican Marines captured Rafael Caro Quintero in Chua, Sinaloa, deep in mountainous terrain. During the mission, a Navy Black Hawk helicopter crashed. 14 personnel killed. Mountains restrict approach routes, limit extraction options, and turn every kilometer into risk. Geography doesn't pull the trigger, but it decides the odds. Now consider the border. Nearly 3,200 kilometers between the United States and Mexico. That's longer than the distance from New York to Los Angeles. And it is not one single environment. In the west, scorching desert across Arizona and California. Vast, open, visible for miles. On paper, that sounds controllable. In reality, the scale becomes the problem. Hundreds of empty miles. Monitoring that space is a logistical marathon. Move east, and the terrain shifts again. Mountains rise along sections of the border. Natural blind spots form. Elevation changes disrupt line of sight. Surveillance becomes uneven. Technology helps. But geography sets the rules. And then there's the Rio Grande. Unlike a wall, a river moves. It floods, it narrows, it widens. Seasonal flow reshapes it, sometimes dramatically. A natural border is never perfectly fixed. And that's the key issue. No single strategy works across all terrain types. What works in urban San Diego fails in rural Texas. What works in desert Arizona doesn't apply in river valleys. The border isn't one problem, it's dozens stitched together. Now we zoom out. Mountains don't choose sides. Coastlines don't pick politics. But geography raises the cost of control. Rugged terrain fragments authority. Fragmented authority creates gaps, and gaps are exploited. Mexico is not uniquely unstable. It is uniquely rugged. And ruggedness reshapes power. But here's the bigger picture. This isn't just about cartels. It isn't just about enforcement. It's about structure. Geography builds structure. Mountains separate regions. Coastlines connect them to the world. Borders amplify the pressure. When terrain fragments authority, power decentralizes. Control becomes local. Response time stretches. And coordination gets harder. That's not chaos. That's physics. Elevation, distance, infrastructure gaps. Terrain reshapes incentives. Terrain reshapes risk. Remove one leader, another fills the corridor. Secure one city, activity shifts to the mountains. Pressure one route, and traffic finds another. Because geography doesn't disappear. It waits. And it always shapes the next move. Boom, boom, boom. Just like that, we dove into the crazy landscape Mexico has, how it harbors criminals and makes life much harder for the government. If you enjoyed this breakdown of how terrain shapes organized crime and state control, don't forget to like and subscribe for more deep dive geography every week. Next, we could examine Afghanistan's mountains or Colombia's jungles, because when you study terrain, you study power.